Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning. Sorry for the late start. Had to deal with a family emergency this morning. Thought I'd just get in a quick live stream. Thank you for showing up. Hey, Patrick. Good morning, Martinez. Thank you for showing up. And if you're watching this on replay, I'll see you again at the normal time tomorrow. We had Red Book numbers coming out, coming in very strong. By the way, Coke also beat earnings, and I forgot the other one. We'll get to that in a second. We had a few minutes. In about 10 minutes, we got the S&P Composite Manufacturing and Services numbers coming out. All expected to be in contraction, so we'll have to see how those come out. Then we have the Richmond Fed Regional Index Manufacturing and Services, and that's pretty it. So far, we're just at the open right now. Everything's strong. The mega caps, besides Apple, really bouncing. Coke up after their earnings. And we're coming out of some significant oversold conditions. So not surprised to see a gap up or a strong bounce. Comm services, industrials, utilities leading, but everything except healthcare is positive. Fed Watch tool is still for next week. Hold on, little problem with the mouse there. For next week is still on pause mode. It's baked in for pause, and there's still no rate hikes on the table, and we are still in fear mode. So Coca-Cola, Verizon also beat, and those were the two that I was looking at before stuff popped up this morning. After the close, though, Microsoft, Alphabet, Snap, Visa, so very busy after the close, especially with two of the Magnificent Seven mega caps. So they're really going to define probably with Meta tomorrow after the close, possibly the rest of the week in Amazon. So we see a snapback rally? Well, as long as these don't give poor guidance and beat, we could probably see the rally continue, but we'll have to especially watch for guidance. So that's where don't get caught after the close. Now, yesterday, I hope we talked about, well, I talked about, I was watching for a pullback and then a reversal pattern, which we had yesterday. So I left that on there. Really nice reversal pattern and now pushing up. This also, I'm paying attention to yesterday's high. So why am I paying attention to yesterday's high? Follow through with a close above yesterday's high as a %B bounce signal, at least back into the rotation zone, which is pretty close. So it has to be nimble, especially with major earnings coming up. Again, not trading advice. It's what I am watching for. But you see between the 50 and the 62.5, we also have the declining rotation zone. So that's what I'll be watching, especially with the yesterday's high in the S&P 4280.75. In the shorter term basis, we're getting a little strength in the open, but my key area is this 4280 where we reversed off yesterday. That's the key area I will continue. And you see on Friday and on Monday, we reversed there. So that's what I'm paying attention to going into the next hour. So we're going into really the European Open, and key support coming in about 42.45 to 42.41. Just gonna go through these really quick. NASDAQ, we also had the little reversal pattern talked about before this actually formed, but that's what I was watching for, and then went beyond that, and NASDAQ holding up a little better compared to the S&P, but the key resistance area you see right here is between about 14,855 to a 14,875. That's the resistance zone. We break above there, targets 14,991 to 15,000 for me. Key support, which you see broke above it, resistance yesterday, sitting at 14,715, broke above it, came back, retested it, and that's held. So 14,713, 14,715, that key area is the first level of support. That's where we sit right there. Again, same thing here. If I get there we go. We're getting to the bottom of the daily cycle. I'm watching yesterday's high because it closed above that. Now, this could be, the intraday trade against the high. If we break through that key area with a follow-through close, could get into a little more sustained bounce. 14,991 is that 50% harmonic, and 15,110 is a 62.5. So that's where I'm watching for in the short term. The Dow Same thing, might have a percent be buy with a close above yesterday's high. Cycles getting the bottom and turning up and out of oversold condition. So I don't need to go in any more there. We still have the bigger potential double bottom pattern, but really doubt that's going to trigger. Russell, same thing. Really up here with key resistance in the Russell on any bounce besides yesterday's high is key. The first area I'm watching is about 1720, then 1729, 1730. Key support in the Russell. Key support going into the open, though, really keep an eye on 1700. And your key support area is not as strong in the Russell, but 1680. The VIX, we reversed strongly off this upper end of the channel yesterday, broke back down, still closing above 20, but now dropping below 20. I'm going to be paying attention to 18, especially if we have a strong continued rally today. The DAX, same thing, coming back out of oversold condition. I'm just waiting for stuff to pop up here with the cycles turning up, so would not be surprised to see at least a rally here. And in the DAX, the key levels I'm watching is 15,075, then about 15,200 for resistance. The notes, which we've hit the first target on that 4-hour double bottom. So the technical new invalidation point / stop point on a closing basis is 105.27. 105.27. The next key targets are still 106.25 and then 106.31 and a half. You can see the yields pulled back. The yield has pulled back to the rotation zone. Once it pops up, everything's really slow this morning. Wow. And against this very key support level, remember, focus on candle bodies more so than wicks unless it's a very key higher low. But still going to potentially watch for a more pullback if we break back below this 488. The next level would be right around 470, 471. The 10-2s stop the bear steepening for a bit, but we'll be watching after probably a little more pullback depending on how the markets react today. Another rotation up. Dollar index coming back down into a channeling pattern. We're going to have to see if this was an ABC correction with daily cycles now getting to the bottom and a slight divergence here. Slight divergence. So going to see, again, if we rally back to about 106.20, how that sits. Crude continuing its pullback after hitting the first target. The stop / invalidation point is 84.63 on a closing basis. And on an intraday basis, if we're to trade below about 83.60. So going to keep a close eye on that today, especially since it's dropped now below the flat 50. Natty Gas trying to put in a little short-term bottom, but nothing there. Gold pulling back. So keeping the watch for the pullback move to see how shallow this is. Right now, I'm watching this 25% harmonic, 1963 roughly. If we close below there, I'll start going back to about 1943, 1945 for the pullback area. But that's what I'm watching in the short term. What else do we have? I have the Magnificent 5 up here, or the Magic 5, or whatever you want to call it. You see still bouncing in there. It's all going to be dependent on the earnings this week. It'll pull back in the 10-year JGBs. And the yen still stalled out, still holding, still compressing, but unable to break above this 150 area. The euro still making a channeling. This is one of these channeling doubles, which has a slightly lower probability of coming back to this key area, but not yet hitting the stop reduction. So stop still 105.20. Pound, not yet close to triggering that double and pulling back. If the pound rolls over again, it will invalidate the potential double. The spiders Again, hitting still the first key harmonic area yesterday and then bouncing up. Going to be paying attention also, spiders, to yesterday's high of 424.45. Above there, if it does trigger, the major target area for me would be 427.97. So that's where that sits, back to the 200. The support area on this, if it were to roll over, is today's open, roughly 422.65, and then Friday's close, 421.20, 421.19, and then on a rollover play, it would be to the gap fill back to 420.46, yesterday's close. The Qs we have, again, same thing, yesterday's high, coming in at 359.26. The key target area on a continued rally is 362.55. So far, the support I'd use is today's low, coming in 357.15, and then it would be to the gap fill 355.67. Bitcoin continues its power breakout move. Remember, it invalidated, went to a triple top yesterday. The next key targets for Bitcoin to the upside, if you're going along with this, the next major target is, the minor one's already been hit. The next major target is about 35,962 to 36,429. Tesla, we have the gap up after triggering the double top. Going to be watching very key resistance about 225. NVIDIA, not much going on. What did we have? We had Microsoft. Come on. There we go. Microsoft, again, earnings this afternoon. So far, pretty flat today. The major resistance is 333 on a closing basis. If we did pop up, 338.40 and then 345.50. This anywhere between 338.40 and 345.50. I'd be watching for another rollover unless we would gap above this 345.50. Support coming in right about 324 to 325. We break below that, I'd be looking back to about 317. And Google also today. Google also slight up move. The key resistance, though, is coming in right around, it's 139.47 and then 149.22. To complete the 87.5 rule, it'd have to pop up with the earnings and get to 143.02, and that would complete its 87.5 rule, which is still incomplete. So you see the key support 134. You break below 134 and close below 132.47. I'd be watching for a retest of the lows back from August, mid-August, and end of September. Hey, my man, I already went through Tesla. Just again, Tesla real quick. The key resistance I'm looking for is this 225. If you want to go a little higher, 227. Right there before it gets into the rollover zone. I'd be shocked if it could fill the gap, but between the 50 and the 62.5 is the major rollover zone, 235.73 to 244. All right, so that should wrap it up for now. Sorry again for the late start. Again, had a family emergency this morning, so should be back tomorrow at the regular time. Really pay attention to these earnings this afternoon, and I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.